How to keep up with things to read, watch, and listen. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. We've all experienced it. You're watching a YouTube video and it's really great, but you don't have time to fully absorb it now and maybe practice what it's showing you. So how are you going to get yourself back here later? What trigger are you going to be able to build into your system that's automatically going to remind you to return here? Well, if you use a digital task list and have a good strategy, it's easy. Let's show you how. I'm watching a video on mail merge that's really excellent. Now, I've been doing mail merge for about 30 years, but I learned a couple of new wrinkles in this video. I want to come back to this video later when I have the time to work through those elements. So I want some type of reminder in my digital task list. I'm going to copy two things, the title of the video and the URL. I'm going to start by triple clicking the title. Triple clicking in Windows is going to highlight the entire paragraph, or in this case, the entire title. I'll do Control C to copy it. I'm going to go up here to the URL. I'm going to click to highlight and also Control C to copy. Now let's add this to my digital task list, Remember the Milk. If I'm using Remember the Milk from the browser, I click in the Add Task window. I press Windows V. And look at what I have. Here's the title and here's the URL. So I'm going to click on the title of that video. It automatically adds for me a space afterwards. And now I want to tag this. I want to watch this later. So I'm going to tag it watch. I hit the hashtag, the letter W. And what you see is I only have one tag that begins with W, so that it's automatically going to select that for me. I hit enter and it selects that tag. And now I need the URL. I'm going to hold down Windows V, click on the URL, click enter, and it's on the list. Now let's click on that and expand it to see what we have. Now let's look at the right-hand pane. Here's the title, here's the URL, here's my tag. Remember the Milk automatically, the default setting I have in Remember the Milk is the due date of today unless I assign something else. And so this is now on my list. Let's go back to the video. Suppose I'm doing this using the Remember the Milk desktop software. Triple click, copy, click, copy. Now, if I do Control Alt M on Windows, that automatically brings up a new task. It's a little quick add that I can get to from anywhere, provided I have Remember the Milk open. So we'll say Windows V. We're going to choose the title. We'll say hashtag W enter, adds the tag, Windows V. There's the URL, hit enter. This is now my list. Let's look at another example. You're listening to a podcast and you want to return to this podcast later. How are you going to get this in your system so that you don't have to remember to go somewhere else? You're not going to forget about it, and it's going to return to you exactly when you wanted to see it. All right, so what I've chosen is, here is a podcast where I happen to be a guest on there. Here's the title, here's the URL. So very similarly, we're going to triple click on the title, Control C to copy. We're going to click Control C to copy the URL. We want to get this in to Remember the Milk. Control Alt M brings up for us a new task. Windows V. There's the title. Let's hit hashtag L for listen. I have a hashtag called listen. I only have one hashtag beginning with the letter L, so it suggests that one. All I have to do is enter, and it accepts that for me. And now Windows V. Click to add the URL, hit enter. The task is now on the list. Let's look at another example. This is going to be something to read. So here's actually a blog post that I composed on how to use Evernote to track your time. It's one that's been very popular lately. So someone is here, they want to come back and read this later. So how do we do that? Well, simply go to the title, triple click, Control C. Go to the URL, click Control C. We want to get it into Remember the Milk. Control Alt M brings up a new task. So we'll hit Windows V, choose the title. We'll hit hashtag R. Now I have several that it brings up with R, so I can do one of two things. I can just select the one I want, or I can keep typing. If I type 2 more letters, now it's down to the one I want. I hit enter and it selects it. And now Windows V, click on the URL, hit enter, and now it's on the list. I can forget about it and go about whatever I was doing. One last example. Now, what if I'm on my phone? So let's say I'm here in Google News and I'm scrolling through the various articles and I come to one that I want to return to later. Oh, how to effectively manage your time while working remotely. All right, let's come back to that later. So you're going to have that little share icon like right here. Click on that. Now you have a list of all of the things that you could share that particular article with. And notice I have Remember the Milk. Since I have the Remember the Milk app on my phone, Remember the Milk becomes one of the choices. So I simply tap on it. Remember the Milk creates a new task. The title has already been filled in for me. If I scroll down, you'll see that the URL has also been filled in for me. The default due date of today has been filled in for me. Now, what I do, I don't take the time right now to add the tag. So really, you see what I've done so far is I've just hit share and I've hit Remember the Milk. This comes up and then all I do is click save and it's done. Each of the items that you've seen so far now winds up in my Remember the Milk inbox. So later in the day, usually toward the end of the day, I go to the inbox and I'm going to see those items along with anything else that I've added to Remember the Milk during the day. This is my chance to make sure that things are worded correctly, to add a due date to any particular item if it's different from the default date of today, change priority, change tags, any of those kind of things. So here is my read item, my watch item, my listen item. Here's the one that I added from my phone. This item that I added from my phone doesn't have a tag. Let's add one to it. This is something I wanted to read, so I'll put a check in the box so that it lets me make changes to it. Now I could go up and add a tag from here, or I can use the keyboard shortcut of S that brings up my entire list of tags. And as soon as I start typing read, it narrows it down to just that one. Click on it, enter, and there it's tagged it. And now let's uncheck it. Everything's tagged. Now, what I usually do, these read, watch, and listen things are usually not critical. So I give them a due date sometime in the future, usually a week out, so that it doesn't clutter up my list. So let's do that. I'll put a check at the top. It selects all of these. And now I can do one of two things. I can use the letter D to select a due date, or I can use the letter P to postpone these tasks by any particular number of days. I'll say, let's postpone it a week. And notice how it's changed all of those from May 3rd to May 10th. I'll now uncheck those. So what happens in my normal workflow is as I am working on other things, sometimes I can listen to a podcast in the background. So I can simply go over to the left-hand side of my screen and let's look at the tags that I have down here. One of them is listen. I can click on the listen tag and automatically the list populates here with all the things that have the listen tag. Same with the watch or same with the read. All I have to do is click on the appropriate tag and just choose from those items regardless of the due date. Now, once I get these the way that I want them, the last thing I'm going to do with my inbox is clear everything out of the inbox. Once everything has the date and the tag and the priority that I like, I'm going to put a check in the top And I'm going to move these to another list. I use the keyboard shortcut of M to move. I'm going to hit O for organized, which is where all the tasks go once I've given them the proper due date, et cetera, et cetera. My inbox is now empty. Earlier, I talked about having the Remember the Milk desktop software, and the advantage it offered you was Control-Alt-M, the ability to just add a task quickly from anywhere as long as you had Remember the Milk open. Now, how do I get that? Well, it's very easy. Just go to the Remember the Milk web version, rememberthemilk.com. And so you'd be looking at your task here. Just simply don't click on a task so that this right-hand pane is open, is blank instead of showing the due date, etc. And what you'll see is a little menu down here. And what you want to do is click on Apps. It takes you to the website where you'll download this. Just scroll down to This is on a Computer and select whichever platform you're on. And that's all there is to it. For me, the digital task list is the one place for everything that I need to do. I don't want to have to remember to go somewhere else. You might say, hey, Frank, what about Feedly? You've written about that before. And yes, it is the place where all the content that I subscribe to winds up. But even there, it all goes back to the digital task list. And Remember the Milk, I'm going to go up here and search for Feedly. And I want you to see clear starred items from Feedly. It is a repeating task. It comes up about every 3 days. Going to happen again this next Thursday. So when I'm working through my list, it's actually going to remind me to go and look at what may be in Feedly. And notice it's tagged listen, read, also watch. So if I click the tag to watch and you'll see all my watch items, clear start items from Feedly is going to come up in that search as well. Same thing with if I want to see things I want to read or I want to listen to some things now, this is going to come up in that search. And it also comes up, I have a little tag called extra time. Those things that I could do pretty much from anywhere. I could do them while I'm watching TV. Doesn't take much energy, doesn't take much concentration. And going through Feedly is one of those things that I could do from there. With all the things that we have going on in our lives, getting everything, all of our choices in one place is kind of a big thing. And when you can see all of your choices, you make better choices. Enjoy the other videos here and subscribe to the channel. Join the email list at frankbuck.org and enjoy the countless posts that you see there. Thanks for stopping by. This is Frank Buck helping you get organized and make it look easy.